Hello everyone. Let's wait for people to come in. Hello, good morning. Or is it afternoon? It's already past 12. Hi, welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Good morning. Good afternoon, rather. Thank you for joining. Hi Olajo. Hi, Lovely Wave. Thank you guys for coming. Today we're going to be talking about CAS. For people who have already applied to the UK and you're already getting your offers, be it conditional or unconditional offers. If you're willing to take up this offer, the next stage for you is to start to prepare to get the requirements for your CAS issuance. So that's what we're going to be talking today. I can see quite a number of people have joined, so I'm just going to go right up. I'm just going to go ahead and start. So my name is Roseline. For some of you, you've already seen my face. I am not a stranger here to Nexus Live. But for some of you, I'm new. So I'm going to be introducing myself. So hi, I'm Roseline. Someone wants to do a video request. So I'm going to be taking video requests when I'm done with my what I have to say today. And then if you have any questions or you have anything that's always happy to join our whichever. Oh, thank you, Manike Dara. So if you have any questions and you want to actually come live for everyone to see, then it's all fine. You can always do that, but that's when I'm already done with what I have to say. So today we're going to be doing CAS. I have some things written down, so if I'm looking down, please forgive me. So we're talking about meeting your deadline for CAS. If you don't have an offer, and you're still waiting for an offer, this live is still for you. There are things you can do to prepare yourself so that once your offer comes out, you can go right ahead and accept it. If you haven't applied for September, then you can also join this live, because this is an informative session where you can use in making your decision for the next intake. So be it January 2024 or September 2024. So everyone is welcome to join. But I'm going to be specifically speaking to the people who currently hold an offer, be it conditional or unconditional, and people who are currently waiting for their offers. What are the things that you need to do? So firstly, what is your CAS? Your CAS is the document that you're going to need to apply for your visa once you have accepted and you have met the conditions for your study. And this is for people, particularly I'm speaking to people who are going to the UK. I think I did not mention this, particularly people who are going to the UK, particularly for people who are going for postgraduate studies. But if you're going for undergraduate studies, you're still welcome to join. Some of the things are still going to be applicable to you. So your CAS is your confirmation of acceptance of studies. Confirmation for acceptance of studies. So what that means is that the school has confirmed that they have accepted you, you have met the condition, and then they are going to be sponsoring your study. So there's something called your sponsor license when you receive your CAS. This is a license that has been attributed to you to come study in the UK. This is really important because it is going to factor into what I'm going to be speaking here today. For some of you who have offers and you've applied to multiple schools, I'm sure you're like, oh, I'm waiting for the best school. I'm waiting for the school that, has this feature, has that feature, has that feature. You might not actually have time to actually be selecting at this point, especially if you have an unconditional offer from a school that you can afford. Why is this so? The sponsor license I just spoke about is gotten from the UKVI, the Home Office, rather. Now, each school has an allocation. So let's take an estimated number here. I don't have a figure. I'm just, off the top of my head. Say a school is giving 300 licenses, right, for international students. Usually what they will do is they will give out more offers than the licenses that they have, right? And then they issue out licenses as people meet the conditions. Mind you, we're not talking about just Nigerians here. We're talking about people from all over the world. So people from Kenya, Ghana, China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, whatever country you're coming from, these same licenses are going to be issued to them. So once they have hit the 300 mark, that's the license that they have for that particular intake, they stop issuing CAS. They stop issuing licenses. And I don't know if any of you here know someone or this happened to you. Last year, a lot of people for January this year and September last year, a lot of people were automatically deferred to the next session. Even though you were meeting the conditions, you had paid your deposit, you were getting ready to do your tuberculosis and all. Next thing, you're receiving an email, the school has automatically deferred you. Why? It's because some people had met the condition earlier than you or earlier than the people that you knew, and their CAS licenses, rather their sponsor licenses were done. Like they didn't have any more sponsor licenses to give. So automatically you will be deferred to the next session. So you can either request for your money back, which will take a couple of months, or you can wait for the next session. And that's why it is very important that we're talking about CAS and meeting your CAS duties or responsibilities, so you can get it in time, because your CAS is not unlimited. Schools don't have unlimited sponsor licenses to give to everyone that have given admission to. They have a cap, and this cap might be school wide or it might be course wide. So they might have certain CAS licenses for certain courses. So they might say, oh, if you're coming for business, we have just maybe 30 CAS to give for people who are coming into the business administration course for 2023. Now, if they've met that cap, unfortunately, you're going to be going into the next session. So this is why what we're talking about is very, very, very important. So for those of you who are, waiting, you want to wait for conditions to be right, you want to wait for Form A, I'm going to talk about that. You want to wait for you're not already taking steps to book your tuberculosis. You're not already taking steps to ensure that your proof of funds money is available, so you can fix it in the bank and start counting your 28 days so that you can submit it in time for your CAS. It is very, very dangerous, and more so if your deposit have been paid, because anything that happens in between when your deposit has been paid and when they finish issuing CAS, it means that you're automatically deferred, or you need to start requesting for your money. And the process of requesting for your money is very cumbersome and very lengthy. It can take 2 to 4 months for your money to get back to you. And you know what that means. If you're willing to go to for another studies in another school, you're not going to have that money available to you. So you have to cough out another set of money while you're waiting for the one you've paid the initial school to drop. So it's very important. So now we go into our question, our topic proper. Now that we know what CAS is, and now that we know that schools have a limit on the amount of licenses they can use in issuing your CAS, what are the things you need to do in order to meet up with your CAS? So the first thing that you have to do before you get to this stage is to pick a school, apply to the school that you want to study with them. Then they give you an offer. It might be a conditional offer, which means that there are certain things you need to fulfill. Maybe your transcript is not yet with them. Maybe your English proficiency is not up to their standard. Maybe they need certain information about probably your marriage certificate, because there's a name change on your documents versus your passport. Maybe they need a revised statement of purpose. It can be a number of things. So if you have a conditional offer, usually you would need to meet those conditions before you can change your conditional offer into an unconditional offer, which is the second type of offer that we have. So for an unconditional offer, at this point, the school has accepted you unconditionally. You don't have any more requirements to fulfill. The next thing for you to do is to make your payment and then start the process for your CAS issuance. Now, mind you, some schools do not give out unconditional offers. Usually what they do is, even if you've met all the conditions, they still give you conditional offer. You only get an unconditional offer once your deposit has been received. So for some people whose only requirement is to pay their deposit, we cannot assume that it's an unconditional offer, because it's the same requirement for people that have unconditional offers. So Once you have that, the next thing is to pay your deposit. Now for some schools, you need to pay your deposits, and there's also another hurdle you need to pass. Some schools will require you to do a pre-cas interview. Now I'm going to give you a list. I think I have a list somewhere, so just bear with me. I'm going to be checking my laptop. If my laptop is just going to open for me. Okay, slow. Okay, so the schools that do interviews, so if you have applied for any of these schools, you should already be aware. So we have Bournemouth University, we have University of West England, we have University of Chester, Birmingham City University, Bradford. Let me put this in front of me so that I can look at you as I'm reading it. Anglia Ruskin University, De Montfort University, University of Hertfordshire, Northumbria University, University of Northampton, University of Bedfordshire, and Greenwich University. So these are some of the universities that would require you to do a pre-cas interview. So if you are going to do a pre-cas interview, I think you should go and watch the previous session. We had a session where we taught you how to answer the most likely questions you're going to get when you're actually when you're being interviewed, or when you want to be interviewed for a pre-cas interview. So you should go back to our last week live. So once you do your pre-cas and you pass your pre-cas, then you can now go on to the next stage. So for some, after the pre-cas, there's still another stage called your CAS Shield. So your CAS Shield is a I think I'll call it a form where you're going to fill certain information that the school needs to issue you your CAS. So some of them are going to be requiring certain things. So for instance, they will need you to have your bank statement, which is a 28-day bank statement. They will need you to have your tuberculosis test. Some schools require you to actually have your tuberculosis test. They are going to be answering some questions about visa. So if you've had previous rejections, if there are any previous rejections, you need to let them know. In most cases, they will need to know what the reasons were. So if you have the letter that you got from the UKVI Home Office detailing what or why you were rejected, then you have to actually upload this information as well. They're going to be talking about your finance. So basically all the information that they're going to require in order to verify that you stand a very good chance of getting your visa. Schools don't like it when they issue CAS to people and then people get a visa rejection, because it means that that particular CAS license has been wasted. So what the CAS Shield tries to do is to ensure that you meet all the minimum criteria for visa issuance and that you're most likely going to get your visa. And it also asks if you have dependents and if your dependents are coming, blah blah blah. So those are some of the informations that you're going to be filling on your CAS Shield. And some schools that do this are in Birmingham City University. So after your interview, you still get to fill up a CAS Shield. You have South Wales, you have Sunderland University, you have in East London University of East London, and then Greenwich. Those are some of the schools that you have to fill up your CAS Shield. And this is also very important. We tell people, when you get to that point, don't just fill up, because the school has sent you something to fill up. Every single answer you give is going to be used to determine if you are supposed to get a license or not. And we've had a lot of people who ended up not getting their CAS because of one or two answers that they had given when they were filling up their CAS Shield. So it's also another very important step. Now, some schools will not do interview, but they would have some sort of CAS Shield for you to fill as well. So it might be either or it might be both. Now, there are other schools that does not require, CAS Shield or whatever. They just ask you to pay your school fees, maybe send your bank statements, and also send your tuberculosis tests, right? So what can you do now to get yourself prepared? A lot of schools, I'm not going to be giving any CAS deadline here because it's school specific. There are lots and lots. If you have any specific questions, come to us. I don't think I want to give out all our secrets anyways, but a lot of schools are already sending in their CAS deadlines. If you have an offer from the school, in most cases you should have received an email from the school detailing the deadlines for each particular step. So the deadline for your payment, deadline for CAS issuance, and the like. So what do you do when you have a deadline? Most CAS issuance deadline are in late July, early August. Now, there are certain steps you need to take before this particular time. One, you need to have your bank statement ready. That bank statement has to have been 28 to 30 days. So just know that you have to start counting days before the deadline. Then you have to have done your tuberculosis test. Also, your money has to have dropped. So for those of you who's using Form A, if your money hasn't dropped before then, please use the black market rate to pay directly to the school. Right? Source for funds on your own. Pay directly to the school for your deposit. You can continue your Form A for the balance of your tuition fee. That's for the 50% that you have to make when you get to school. Do you understand? But for your deposit, keep in mind that there is a deadline for payment. And if your payment, let's say, and okay, so for instance, some people whose Form A has been deducted, it still doesn't get to the school for more than a week or even 2 weeks. And if between the time your Form A is deducted, right, and it gets to the school, the deadline for payment has already passed, it's still as good as you are not getting that offer because it did not come before the deadline. What that means is that you now have to start fighting the school to give you back your money. It's still going to be a loss. And as I'm saying this here, a lot of people are going to fall into this gutter. A lot of people are going to fall victim of this. It's a standard. It's what we see year in, year out, every intake, right? So what we try to do is, for those of you who are lucky to, come by this information, help you to make decisions that is not going to make you fall into the same gutter that a whole lot of people are falling into. And a whole lot of people have wasted a lot of money. I'm talking money here, a lot of millions. People have actually wasted a lot of money going through processes that, cost them unnecessary delays, and they miss out on their offers, and then they spent money. So if your Form A, please keep in mind your payment deadline. If your Form A is not deducted, say maybe maximum 2 weeks before the deadline, collect your money and pay directly to the school, or still leave the Form A so that it will be for your balance of your tuition fee, because most schools require you to pay 50% anyways. Paid deposit. So most deposits are 3K, 4K, 5K, depending on your school. So please go ahead and use the black market rate. Get your payment sorted. Now, for some of you that require interview, for the schools that I've actually mentioned that require interview, you also still need your payment to have gone through. Now, if your payment doesn't go through in time, you will not be able to get a date for interview in time. And if you're not interviewed, you don't get to the next stage. If you don't get to the next stage, you're automatically deferred to the next session. So it's also very important for your money to get in on time. Finally, why it's important for your money to get in on time is that what I said earlier is these schools have a cap. They have a certain number of licenses that they are allowed to issue. Those are the licenses that they are going to issue on a first come, first served basis, right? So if they have 300 licenses, for instance, let's just say a rough estimate, and they've given out 500 unconditional offers or 1,000 unconditional offers, is the first 300 who pays, right, for their tuition and then meets this following condition that will get their CAS. So if you're delaying within these processes, then you're not going to be issued a CAS. It's an automatic thing. They just send you an email. Sorry, we're no longer sponsoring, blah blah blah. You have been automatically deferred to the next session. If you want a refund, they'll give you the steps and processes you need to start going through to refund, right? So you don't have time. So I'm also going to say something here. This is something we're leaving for another live, but just so some people actually understand why it is very important to make your decision on the school you want to work with, and then start gathering your money, start paying your money using the direct means, is that there might be some changes, soon. There are so many information coming through the grapevine about, whether people will not be able to go with their dependents, or reducing the amount of time you have to work when you finish your study. That's the postgraduate work permit. The financial requirement as well. So it might be that some schools will now require you to pay more than maybe your 50% before they even issue your CAS, or maybe even 75%. Some might require you to show a bank statement longer than 1 month. So changes are coming. There's a lot of talks. Nothing yet has been done, but who knows if after this September, by January, everything has changed and everything is upside down. Who knows if next year September everything has changed. So if you have the opportunity to go this September while things are still the way it is to favor you, then I would say take advantage. If you wait and then you allow them to defer you, and then by the time you're wanting to go for that one, things have changed and you're no longer able to meet it, or maybe go with your family, or whatever it is that is the reason why you're going, then at the end of the day, you've lost out. So what I'm saying in essence is delay is dangerous. Don't delay. Don't dilly-dally. Go ahead and pay your fees. If you haven't booked for your tuberculosis yet, please and please, there are information. You can reach out to us. We can give you the information of the locations where you have centers for you to book your tuberculosis. I think they have in Benin, they have in Lagos, they have in Abuja. So for the location that's closest to you, call them and pick a date, right? Anything that makes you to wait till maybe next month before you start looking for a date for tuberculosis test, you're on your own. You're going to go and queue from 4 a.m. in the morning, and you probably not leave there till 5 o'clock just to get a date. I know what people passed through last year. People went simultaneously for days, every single day, maybe for 2, 3, 4 days before they were able to get a date. Some got there as early as 4:30, 5 o'clock, and this is something you can easily get now. So go ahead and do it. Secondly, if you don't also finish this process in time, so let's say this process, stretches because you didn't pay your fees on time, you didn't accept your offer on time, you didn't pay your fees in time, you didn't start counting your bank statement on time so they can issue your CAS in time, it also affects your visa. I know a lot of you saw your colleagues, your friends, your family, all they went through last year and previous years, where some people had to go and sleep at the visa collection center. People didn't have dates. People were forced to use priority, right? Because they were going to find it, because the dates were so far off, and by the time the visa takes the normal 3 weeks for it to come out or more, they were going to have overshot their resumption timeline. So they had to do priority, which is an extra money that you have to pay. So, but if you finish all this process, say middle of July, what's stopping you from doing your normal visa, pay the standard fee, do the 3 weeks? By second week of August, your visa is out. You still have maybe a month for you to travel. You can travel well in time before your studies begin. So why do you have to wait for die minute? Why does your course have to start before you're traveling? Why do you have to start sending message to the school, letting them know that your visa, you're still awaiting your visa, and you can't make it, that they should give you an extension? I know too many people who were not given extensions and were automatically deferred. I know people who got their visa on their Kali, is that the day they got the visa, they collected their visa, was the day they received an email from the school to say they had not resumed as at the time they were supposed to resume. They had been automatically deferred. These are people who have paid their 50%. And unfortunately, they had to go the following year, because it was even a September intake. It wasn't a thing of September to January or January to September. No, it was only a September intake. So from September this year, they had to wait for September the following year. So you have things like this, magic. But because you're working on your own, you don't know these things. And that's what we're here to tell you. So there are several hurdles you will need to pass. So you need to pass those hurdles so that you can get to the promised land at the end of the day, if you're really serious about going. And that's here. It's here I'm going to invite you. If you have an offer on your own and you want to, accept this offer, you want us to walk you through this process, it's completely free of charge. We can help you to do it. So all you need to do is send us a DM or go to our link in the bio and say, oh, I have an offer. Can you help me work with this offer? And then we'll see how to tag you to us and then walk you through this process, including your visa application. So we're going to be doing your visa application for you and your family completely free of charge. So if you want to take this opportunity, it's up to you. If you want to go and risk it and risk your money or risk a visa refusal, is also up to you. So I'm going to go back on the steps you need to take to get your CAS. Then I'm going to be answering questions. I think I've done about 30 minutes in talking, so I'm going to be reiterating what I said. So first things first is please and please accept your offer. If you have an offer you can work with, don't look at the one that is in yonder. Don't look at the one that is still coming. Accept the one you have that you can afford, right? Then once you have done that, that's obviously an unconditional offer. If it's a conditional offer and you can meet the conditions, go ahead and meet it and stop the school to issue you your unconditional offer so you can make payments. Now when it comes to the payment, please and please, if you have a way to fast track your Form A, be right on it and disturb whoever it is you need to disturb to get it done. If you can't, prepare the money to pay using the black market rate directly to the school. Go ahead and pay your deposit. That is the only way to secure your spot. If you have an interview, we do free pre-cas training for all our students, like I said. So if you have an offer and you do not get your offer through us and you want us to work with you, we can actually prep you for your pre-cas. So we prep you. You have 1, 2, even up to 3 counselors that give you trainings up to multiple times before the day that you have your pre-cas interview, just to increase your chances of passing through. And we've had amazing successes with a lot of our students, so you can as well take advantage of this, and it's also completely free of charge. So once you have done your interview, so if you don't need interview, obviously just make your payment, then also go and book your tuberculosis. Once you've booked your tuberculosis, get a date for next month, ending of this month to next month. So tuberculosis is valid for 6 months. So obviously it's going to last you well into your September, October, November. So if you're traveling, if you're applying for your visa as well as traveling to the UK, your tuberculosis test will still be valid, right? So once you have done that, also note the date for the last day of your CAS issuance. You want to ensure that you submit it before the last day, because sometimes you submit it at the last day and they still tell you, oh, I'm sorry, we're deferring you. So don't work with die minutes. Die minutes is any mini mini mo, this or that. You can still get in, you can still not get in. The school don't care about anybody, in the sense that once they have met their quota, automatically mails just go out to everyone. Do you understand? So it just goes out, oh, we're sorry, we're at capacity, you have been automatically deferred. Don't wait till deadline. So note your deadline for CAS issuance, then make sure that you're meeting that deadline. So what that means is that if your school requires you to pay to submit your bank statement, you need to start counting your bank statement at least 6 weeks, at latest 6 weeks before your CAS issuance deadline, right? So that between that time and 4 weeks, which is 28 days, you already have your bank statement. You can submit it, including your tuberculosis, including your tuition payments that you have done, everything, and then you fill up whatever form you need to fill up and submit. So you can now get your CAS issued, maybe the following week, maybe the following day. Usually it takes between a couple of days to like 1 to 2 weeks. So you can get that and then start getting ready to apply for your visa. So that's my take, and I hope that people that actually want to use this are going to use this well. So I'm going to be answering questions, and then some people have requests. Okay, I think I have a request here. Let me first of all see this person. Let's see. Damilola wants to go live. Okay, so I accepted your live. I don't know if you still want to go live. Okay, so while we're waiting. Hello, hi Dami. You request to become live. Hello, Dami, are you there? So please, guys, drop your questions. If you have questions that you want me to attend to, you have questions for yourself or your family member, especially if you want to go as a family. So if you're the husband listening in here and it's your wife that is the main applicant, or vice versa, you can also ask us a question, or you can just simply um, um, message us in our DMs and we'll get to you. So someone says, Ade Pedro Labisi says, how long does it take to get CAS after Form A debit? So Form A debit is just one stage. You know, the one stage. Okay, so what the school needs is commitment from you. That's why they seek a deposit. So they want to be sure that you are committed, right, to taking up the offer, and you have the financial capabilities, you have the means to actually take up this offer. So what they do is, once they get your deposit, that now kickstarts the other processes that you need to also follow through with up until you get your CAS, right? So once you have made your payment, some schools make it so easy. All they need to do is you just submit your 28-day bank statement, and you also submit your tuberculosis test, and then they are good. They are good with that. They give you your CAS. But some schools, after your payment, you still need to do an interview. You still need to fill up a CAS Shield. Some schools will do either or. So either do an interview or you do a CAS Shield, or some schools will do both. Then once that is done and they're satisfied with you, they now ask you to, once the interview is done, during the CAS Shield, you need to also include your bank statement, your tuberculosis, your deposit, your visa history, your travel history, blah, 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 and then submit. So after this, once you're accepted, then they issue your CAS. So the CAS can be issued between a couple of days to 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the school and depending on the amount of people that they need to work with. So we've seen people that after filling it up today, the next day they've gotten their CAS. We've seen people that took it up to a week. We've seen people that took up to 2 weeks. So this is why it's good to work with an agency that has direct partnerships with schools, because we can actually help you follow up, with the school on your behalf, right? So for those of you who have offers and would like to have some sort of inside help, we're your best plug for that. So thank you, Adepel Jola PC, for that. Is there another question for me to answer? So I'm scrolling here. Miss B says, nice job. Thank you very much. So I have a question. Always happy to join live. Wish everyone trying to get good luck. Thanks. To next. Okay, thank you. This is Manike Dara. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for more questions. I'm actually done with what I want to say, and I don't want to keep going on and on and on and rambling, because it's a clear conversation. It's clear. If you're serious about taking up your offer, please and please start taking steps. And unfortunately, Form A has disappointed so many people. Especially people who actually had their hopes up, and were really intending to take up their offers, and not just something they were doing because they just wanted to try. So unfortunately, the system currently in Nigeria is not encouraging to a lot of people who want to study abroad, and it makes it twice as expensive, because the difference between what the government takes and what you would have to spend paying directly to the school is almost double the amount. So obviously this is a bit too much for a lot of people, but if you're really serious about it, you can actually combine the Form A and direct payment. So you can do your deposit using the direct payment, while your Form A can now come in for the balance of your school fees. And this is also good because your balance does not kick in until resumption. So say you have a Form A that is already running now for the balance of your school fees. That's like 3-4 months in advance. And usually, I think about a month or two ago, there was a circular that was passed saying that it would take about 3 months, 3 to 4 months thereabout. I can't remember anymore, for your Form A to be processed. So that gives you ample time to actually legally or officially rather have your Form A deducted and the school paid. But anything lesser than that, you're still not very sure, and it might actually make you miss out on your admission. So if one of your clients, and one of your so if it doesn't take long for CAS Shield to be converted to CAS with native, right? No. If all the conditions have been met, no. So you need to meet all the conditions before your CAS Shield can be submitted. So say you need to put your tuberculosis test now and you don't have your tuberculosis certificate, you can't submit it. Say you need to upload your bank statement on your CAS Shield and your bank is not 28 days already, you can't submit it, right? So say you, what other, maybe your telex copy for the payment, if it was Form A that you used, or direct debit, you also need to also supply those information. You also need to put it there. Now, if you've had visa history and stuff, you need to explain it. We don't advise people to do this on their own, because we've had cases of people being refused because of their previous travel history. Like I said, schools want to reduce the incidence of visa refusal. A visa refusal means they've lost out on a CAS, on a sponsor license that could have gone to someone else who would have gotten that visa. They want to reduce it to zero, right? Because it's actually a loss for them. They have a cap, they have a limit, and they don't want to give it to people who will not be able to make that particular session. So they use this to determine if you would fit the profile of someone who ordinarily would get a visa. So when you're filling this, you need to be very careful with the kind of information that you put and how you describe your history. So that's why usually we say work with us so that we can actually advise you on how well to do it. So someone said, Phone Show One says, please, I have a question. Phone Show, I'm here. Please go ahead with your question. I'm very happy to answer you. So I'll be waiting for you to type in your question so I can go ahead and answer. For those of you that just came in, I'm talking about CAS and what you need to do to what you need to do to get your CAS issued. Your CAS is that document that you would need to apply for your visa. What you have in your CAS is a sponsor license. I'm not going to go into the details about what the CAS contains per se, but there's a particular important code that you have on your CAS, which is your sponsor license. That is when the school has been satisfied that you meet all the criteria and they are sponsoring you. And then when you apply for your visa, is this sponsor license you're going to be using to apply for your visa. So you want to be sure that you are one of these people that they are able to sponsor. One thing I haven't actually also mentioned, for people who have discrepancies in their names, discrepancies in maybe you had a previous name while you were married, so while you were unmarried and now you're married and you want to change it, please and please ensure that you change it before your CAS is issued. If you have issues with your passport is expiring, I don't know how to help you with that, because the Nigerian Immigration Service is not something that you can go and control the things that are happening there. So I don't know how you want to do it, but please try and make sure that your passport comes out well in advance so that you can change this information before your CAS is issued. Why? Because your CAS is going to be containing the information that you have on your passport, and it must match. So your license that they're going to be giving you must match the details of your passport, your international passport. If you're now coming with a new passport after your CAS has been issued on an old name, because we have a lot of married women who have valid passports that are still 2-3 years, and they insist they want to bear their husband's name, right? Which is a good thing, but unfortunately the Nigerian Immigration Service is not very fast with issuing passports, especially when you're doing change of name. So in this case, you have someone who already has a CAS being issued in the old name, and then you want to change it to your husband's, then you need to do it well in advance, just so that your CAS can be issued in the name and with the passport number that is going to carry that license. Anything that is contrary to this, you will not be able to use it to apply for visa. So that's also something that you guys should also keep in mind. Phone Show, I'm waiting for your question because I think I have about 5-10 minutes more to answer questions and then I'm off. But of course, you can always reach us via the DM. If you want me in particular, once you go to the DM, ask to speak with Roseline or to chat with Roseline if you have specific questions regarding this information I just gave in this live. But all our counselors are perfectly able to help you with your questions that you have regarding CAS, regarding visa, regarding whatever information that you would need. And especially if you want to now come to us to help you during this process, they can actually take you through the process of making you one of our students. So please, you can do that, and we're we'll be glad to take you through that process. So I'm waiting for either more questions or for Funsho to actually ask his or her question. Okay, so I'm still waiting. So for the people that are just coming, please and please, you can watch this live when we repost it. It's also going to be posted on our YouTube channel, so you can also go back and watch, fast forward it to the place that is most applicable to your situation, because I've spoken about a lot of things here, and then hopefully to help you, and most importantly, you can always reach out to us, and then we can help you further to ensure that your process is as smooth as can be. For lack of more questions, I think I'm actually done. Maybe I give you guys a minute more to say something. Okay, so Ade Pejola says, as one of your clients, do you charge for my dependent visa application? Okay, so for a dependent visa application, yes, we do charge, but we're actually doing something now for people who are going to be converting, and then for also our clients. So with that, you can actually have access to free visa application. So please talk to your counselor. I'm sure you're working with one of your counselors currently. Please talk to your counselor, and then we can see how that can actually be applicable to you. So yes, there's also an opportunity for you already working with us to have your visa applications done free of charge for your dependents. Do they deny CAS if all documents are valid and okay? No, they do not deny CAS. They will not deny you your CAS only if they will only deny you your CAS if certain informations are not correct, if you do not pass your interview, if maybe you have a visa history that they cannot work with, because there's a likelihood that you will not get a visa once you apply for a visa, or if they finished issuing sponsor license. So if they finish issuing sponsor license, they would let you know, and then they'll be deferring into the next session. So the good thing is that you will now be considered first for the next session. So you're most likely going to get your CAS because your payment has already gone through. You've already fulfilled certain obligations or conditions. You might obviously need to do another tuberculosis test and provide another bank statement, but you're not going to be on the stage with other people that are just getting their things sorted. So they're going to be issuing you a new offer. Your payment is going to be carried over, so you don't have to start filling for Form A and all that, blah blah blah. But obviously, you have to wait either a couple of months or up to a year before you can actually do this again. So that's the downside. Ade Pelu Ola BC, please can you message, send a DM, and then ask for Rose. They'll link you to me directly so that I can treat your case specifically. Yeah. So do we have any more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions? So I'm going to have like 2 minutes more to wait. Two minutes more to wait. I'm scrolling through to see if there are any questions I actually missed. Okay, so I'm out of questions, and if you guys have any more questions, please just do us a DM, and we'll be glad to answer you. From me and from Nexi for today's live, I'm going to say bye. See you next week. So next week we're probably going to be bringing you more information about how to make your payment, which is very important. So a lot of people have questions about Form A and about direct payment and the things that you have to, go through. We'll probably be giving you information on that. We'll also be bringing more information about visa requirements, certain things you need to start doing now in preparation for applying for your visa. your, if you're going with your dependents, the things that you need to fulfill. If you've had visa history, rejection history, the things that you need to do. If you've had successes, the things that you also need to do, because even with a successful visa application in the past, sometimes people don't remember what they have filled in their visa application form. And when you're filling your student visa form, you now go ahead and put other details. Now, if this clashes with the details that the Home Office already has about you, it can be dangerous. And we've had people that have gotten refused, we've had people that have gotten banned for 10 years simply because the visa application they submitted in the past, be it successful or not, said they were doing something else. Say maybe they were working in a company, they were holding a particular position, and then they are applying for their student visa and they are putting another detail about what they were doing within that same time frame, right? So this constitutes being a liar and representing yourself in a way that is not genuine. So it's actually a problem. So, and this is just one out of the many instances of things that can actually go wrong. So if you want to have help within doing this, I would suggest you look out for our live that's going to be talking specifically about visa and the things that you need to note, as well as obviously coming to work with us, right? So we can actually help you overcome this. Okay, so working with one of your colleagues, she said she already accepted the offer on my behalf. Yes. Okay, so how this happens is she probably logged into your profile and then accept. So you need to accept the offer. So the first thing you need to do once an offer gets to you, you need to tell the school that I want this offer. So that once you tell the school that you want the offer, that's when they can now continue with you saying, okay, make your payments, fulfill these obligations and all. So you can either go and log in by yourself and click an